And good afternoon and good evening, everybody.
Hi, Robin.
How is everyone doing?
You're doing great.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching the Yamaha GENOS class today. I got a couple fun things I think in store for you. I'm going to hopefully play a lot of music and then share what I did along the way and just a couple of little things. But to start off, I'm going to open up with some music for you. 2 days ago, I taught the Song of the Month class, and I was inspired to teach this class. I saw the Olympics, the opening Olympics ceremony, and as they were featuring all these different genres of artists and music, and throughout it was like a 4-hour opening. They were pretty clever in how they did it. I heard this arrangement, and I mentioned this in my class yesterday, and obviously on Tuesday. And they had, I don't know who the singer was, what her name was, but she was out on this big platform on the water. It was dark out by that time. And a piano player, and they had a nice little fire lit, and she sang this really beautiful version. So I was inspired to do that song and combine a little bit of the flavor of the John Lennon with the piano, and kind of switch it up a little bit and make it a little more symphonic. So here we go. I'll open up with that song, and then we'll go into some cool tricks and basic functions. So here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to play some songs and I want to show off some little simple basic things. And I might even lean my camera over. This wasn't ideal for me. But the first thing that I want to show you is that some of you are probably familiar with, if you have this already, is how to get to the playlists. Okay, now some of you who have Lowry organs and SD models as well, you have song setups. So the playlist is basically song setups. And there's a couple ways of doing that. And I'm going to go woo and zoom in here. Okay, steady, Robert, steady. Get my cameraman. Yes, sir. All right, so over here, you have a button that says playlist. This is how I access it. There's probably a couple ways of doing it. But what I do is I press the playlist, and at the very top, when you get yours, if you have not activated this yet, when you touch this here, what will happen is it'll come up as example, okay? And what you have to do to activate it is touch that at the top there where you saw it. Now let's see, there it is. You touch example, and then if you touch user, and then what will happen is you'll see this says playlist for GENOS 2. I don't know if you could see that. Can you see that? A little head nod.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. I'll try to keep this steady here. This is, again, it's not ideal, but all right. And when you touch playlist, what happens is you now have all of the different categories, okay, that you can choose from, and then there's a second page. So traditional folk, rock, R&B, you know, and then if you touch R&B, for example, and let's say, and then to activate it, you touch GENOS 2 playlist. Now it's highlighted, and then over to the right here, I then push playlist. And now you'll see all the titles in the R&B group from A to Z show up. So you go through, and one of my, well, I can't say one of my favorites. I might say that a lot. One of the ones that I found that I featured in a concert reel, Night Train. And what you'll notice is that it'll tell you the name of the song, and it'll tell you the name of the style that it's using for that. So it's pretty clever. So I'll touch Night Train, and now it's green. Now you have a couple ways of doing that. You can touch it here, okay, or if you highlight it, over to the right here, you have just a simple little enter button. You can press that, and it'll activate it as well, okay? Another way to do it is if I touch it, I believe it's this little load button right here. You see that says load? Just touch load, and then you got Night Train. So now what's going to happen is Night Train is loaded, and it automatically sets up the first setup. It loads the setups here on 1 through 10. Now, you may have 5, 6, 7, 8. I've seen 9 in some cases. Okay? You'll know because the buttons are lit. So 1 through 7 is lit in blue. So that means there are 7 setups. Here's something else I've discovered every time I've used this. Number 1 always sets up an introduction. The last number will always set up an ending, okay? And typically what I've found is 1 and 2 are actually the same setup. But this is all on some of the ones that there's, you know, what, 1,300 I think in here or something like that. So I've only done, I put a little list of about 10 or 12 of them that I really liked. So, and then you just play the song. Yes, I like this. again, as you change the presets, you're going to notice the band will sometimes change. Arrangement. And the sound. That's cool. I was expecting that. And 7 Well, I don't know. I might play a little bit more than I expect, but so that's how you get some of the playlists. Now, if you go back here, I'm going to take you on a little ride. Here we go. Whee! And here we go. Okay, so now, once I exit that screen or go back to the home screen, as an example, if I go back to the playlist, what should happen is it'll come back up where it was last. So if you notice, I'm still on the GENOS 2 playlist R&B. So you touch, if you want to switch to a different list, just touch it, and then you'll see that there's it's highlighted. Now there's a couple things you can do at this point. You could just touch user again, and it'll go back to the playlist for GENOS 2, the main group. And if you touch that, all of the selections will come up. Or, let me go back to where I was. Okay, this little arrow down here in the right corner, if you touch that, it kind of takes you back to the categories. Okay, so if I want to go into playlist, say oldies, and there's all sorts of great oldies in here. You got, and then you highlight it again, and then over to the right here, you press playlist, and then all of the song titles from A to Z show up in the oldies category. So you could have some fun. You could do songs like Don't Be Cruel, Bye Bye Love. One of the ones I've had a lot of fun with was, let's see, La Bamba's in this playlist. Oh, just passed it. All right, La Bamba. So you could do that, hit load or hit the enter button over here, or you could just touch it again until it's green and you'll know that it's lit. So, and then in this case I have 6 setups for La Bamba. Okay, so here we go. Olé! I don't know why I said that. Ooh, that's good. That's some good stuff in there. So I was tempted. I was trying to find a way to get all of those titles onto a list. But that could be a very long endeavor. What I did this morning is I came in, I took a picture of it with my phone, and then I selected the text and then try to copy and paste it, but it got a little complicated. So I'm trying to find an easy way to get a list of those A to Z and then have everybody have that. I haven't figured out an easy way yet. So anyway, so you go back to the top here, and then if I just arrow back up, and then you'll go back to your list of categories. One of the ones that I found that's really fun, especially coming up soon, we have, it is September, so we got 3 months away is Christmas. And I know you're saying it's a little, I see someone shaking their head. That's a little too soon to be talking about that. But you know, when you are, the worst time to learn all those holiday songs and bringing them back out is a month before. You know? Unless it's a song that you are real comfortable with, you know. But there's some songs that I'm not usually that good with. So about 2 months, 4 to 6 weeks, I kind of I start brushing up on some of the songs. Sometimes I like to come up with new arrangements, which take a little bit of time. But it's probably a good idea. That's if you go into the classic events, you'll see classic and events. You're going to see that there are a lot of song titles. Frosty the Snowman. Let's see here. I'll just go through some here. Jingle Bells. Oh Holy Night. There's just a lot of great classics in there. I think Silent Night was in there. Silent Night's really pretty. And it's great Christmas waltz. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Gorgeous settings. And what's great about song setups, we've said many times for those of you who had that in the past, is a lot of times you can get inspired by a certain song setup for something totally different. So if I took that same song setup as an example, you know, and I want to just play some other pretty waltzes. Carried away. So now I think there was somebody asking about the playlist. Right now, how I know how to access the playlist is that when I'm exit the screen or in the home screen, all I know is that I press the playlist button and then I just take it, I press the category I'm on and then the arrow back and it brings me back to the group. Now if there's other ways of accessing the playlist differently, that's how I know. I don't know how to do that yet, but that's how I've been doing it. And then I just go back into another category and I pick what I want. So, you know, if I want the country, et cetera, and you just touch it and then boom. And if you want to go back, just hit the arrow back. And then whatever one, again, just a reminder, whatever one that you're on, when you exit out of that screen or go back to the home screen and go about your business, what's going to happen is when you go back to it, that's the last group that it'll be on. Okay? Now, another thing that's really key, and Marco touched on this last week, and we're going to probably touch on this a lot, is finding the rhythm styles on the instrument. There's really several ways. Right in the middle is the way I like to do it. There's a big orange button with the name of the style. Okay? And you just touch it, and it gives you all of the categories. You can also just push the button over here that says style. That's another way. Okay? And He also touched on the search option, which you can type in and start typing in, if you want to type in rock, if you want rock and roll, and then you press OK, and it gives you all the styles with the word rock. If you want jazz or if you want swing, you just type in, and then what will happen is it'll bring up all the titles that have that word in it. It's probably a good idea to just, whenever in 30 years, I know some of you have upgraded an organ once or twice over the years. Oh, someone had to put their hands up and their feet. And every time there was a new model, one of the first things they always promoted were all the new styles, right? And so I would always tell someone, before you just start playing and poke around with all the features, we love sitting down at the instrument, playing whatever it is that we have, an organ, workstation, whatever you want, whether it's a digital piano, you name it. What entices us to play songs, and if you use the rhythms like I do, you want to use the rhythms and play the song. And so to me, I just say sit down, pick a rhythm category, and just go through and listen to those styles with the intros and the endings. And of course on the GENOS too, what's really cool is you have 3 separate intros and 3 separate endings. The intro 1 is a very short, I don't want to use the word generic, but very short, simple type of introduction. 2 is a little bit more fancier and more well-arranged. And 3, you'll commonly find number 3, you'll hear a lot of songs that those introductions are designed for. You'll also hear it in 2. So when this first came out, the first thing I did is I just picked a category and I just hit whatever one appealed to me by the title, and I said, let me see what this sounds like. And then I used the introduction, and then I took it a step further, which I'll show you. So for example, here's one that I found very quickly. It was, I think it was Big Band Jazz. No, not that one. It was, I think it was Big Band Blues. And then I touch one touch setting, and then I just hit the introduction, and let's see what I got. Yeah. So now that style, by the way, if you want to make a note, that was Big Band Blues under the jazz category, and that was simply on page 1. Okay? Now, another cool thing, I can't recall if this was mentioned last week or not, but so I'm looking at the group here. Many of you have Lowry organs, had Lowry organs, or some of you have both, Lowry organ and the Este, right? And on the Lowry organs for years, back in the early 90s up until about 2000, I forget, I think it was like 11 or so, they used to call it rhythm presets, okay? A rhythm preset was you pick a rhythm style, you put rhythm preset on, it set up the organ for you to play it, and you have multiple ways of doing that. On the Estes, it's called auto setup. And then they changed it on the Lowrys, call it style setup. And on the GENOS 2, they call it one-touch setting. Okay? And it basically means all the same thing. It sets up the instrument with some of the best combinations of sounds to go with that style. Obviously, you can change them. But something that was very clever on this that I thought was really cool, And I never really knew what it was until I saw someone using it. And over to the left here, I'll zoom you in. Get my cameraman to zoom in. All right, you see it says, I don't know if you can see that there. Ooh, gosh, steady, steady, steady. I think I lost you there for a second. Can you all see or hear me?
Yeah. So we can.
Yeah, no.
I think I lost internet there for a second because everybody froze on my screen. All right, so just to be clear, you all can hear me? Thumbs up?
Now we can.
Oh, there's my bubble. Wayne, you got fireworks going on behind you. Okay, and I'm not, my video's okay. Okay, so anyway, right here, you have, when you power on the instrument, I'm going to turn it off, I'm going to turn it on. What should come on are two buttons, if I'm not mistaken. And what lights up over here, this has to do with the accompaniment. So it just says ACMP, short for accompaniment. All right. And then auto fill in will more than likely come on. I like that on. And then in the middle, actually the accompaniment not on right now because I don't have rhythm. When I touch a style and activate the one touch setting, it'll trigger the accompaniment. But in between the buttons, there's a button that says OTS link. And I think this is very, very clever. Okay? So you have, when I pick a style, let me pick another style here. How about, here's one that I play a lot, Besame Mucho. And I'm going to use, there's a lot of great styles choices for use for this. I sometimes use one called Pop Cha-Cha, sometimes Spanish Rumba. Let me do Spanish Rumba. All right, now what I'm going to do is touch the one-touch setting link, okay? So as I'm playing, you can touch your one-touch settings, and you'll get 4 different setups for the melody hand, okay? See if I can get this set up so you can see it like this, all right? Okay. Now, as I'm playing, you'll notice, and I know Marco does this a lot when he's playing, and sometimes he builds it into his presets. But when I'm playing here, let me touch a slower version here, pop ballad, pop Latin ballad. Let's see how this one sounds. Yeah, we'll try that. Okay. So if you listen to the band, the accompaniment here, it's kind of nice and simple, right? Now if I push main variation B, the arrangement starts to build a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. The bass player changed. Now watch on main variation C. And when you go to D, the band just slowly builds and gets fancier and fancier. So one of the things you can do is you can do it manually and choose it where you want, how soft or how full, how elaborate, and change your sounds manually how you want to do it. If you do this one OTS link, one touch setting link, here's what will happen. When you touch A, it'll automatically trigger number 1. The melody sounds and arrangement. If you touch B, I don't know if you'll see it there, it switched to number 2 for me. If you touch C, it switches to number 3, and if you touch D, it switches to number 4. And I went in order. Let me go back to B. It goes back to number 2. Okay? So, for example, I'll go back to A and I'm playing. We'll do an introduction 2, which is really nice. Now I push B. Bend, elevate it a little bit, change in the arrangement. The melody change, C. And D. So it'll link the one-touch settings to the sound that, or the variation that you have. The autofill, when you press main variation A, B, C, or D, autofill means it does a quick little fill to go into that next setup. So here's another example. Here's another style that I love playing here. Well, I can't say that because I got a lot of styles. I'm going to do, we'll do Over the Rainbow. I have here easy listening. So I'm going to put on my which is in the epic ballad. Let's see. Easy listening. I didn't pick the, oh yeah, here we go. Easy listening, epic ballad, page 1. Now, most of the time, when you hear this introduction, that's elaborate. That's kind of nice. You could do like My Way with that. That's what came to my head. But I'm going to put on introduction number 2, and then I'm going to start with main variation A, and I'll do an abbreviated version of Over the Rainbow. Here we go. I'm just going to use the one-touch settings, but via the main variation. some really great arrangements in this. And that one made it really epic, epic ballad. So there's just a lot of cool things you can do with the one-touch settings. And if you ever find something that you really like, I have to tell you, it's one of the easiest ways to save a setup onto the instrument. If you find something you like or you want to create some of your own setups, it really is so easy that you just push the memory button and just push a number and boom, that's it. And you just push, if I want to save that last, let's say I have that last setting on, okay? And that's what I want. I just push memory 10, boom. That's it. It's saved on number 10. So, and it's so easy to save onto a USB. I'll save that for next week because Marco does want to talk about that. And then having the USB and loading it is extremely easy. I'll show you how to load them. Because to me, a lot of you get presets via some format, some online or Patreon. Marco has setups that he uses for his members and what have you. And once you have them, they're very easy to load. So what you do to load your USB, I have a USB in here now. Like if I want my setups for Imagine that I did, I just press the two buttons here, registration bank, and as a plus and minus, you have to just hit them once together, and then you'll have on here, it says user, and then it says use USB 1. And if I take it out, okay, whoop, steady, Robert, steady, yes, sir. Okay, it says USB disconnected. It just shows that. Let me put this in here. And very quickly, it just accesses the USB, and then touch USB. And this one has just a handful of things. So if I wanted my setups for example, for Imagine, and what's really great is that these can be titled on here, or for those of you who like to do stuff on the computer, you can go on the computer, rename them, and they'll show up the same way. And so if I just touch Imagine, it wants me to save what I had in there earlier. I don't really care to, so I'm not going to hit save, which is really cool because if you have something in there that you've done, it's going to give you a warning, hey, before you go any further, you sure you want to do this? And then you have a chance to save it and come back to it. And you hit don't, I'm going to hit don't save because I don't need to. And then automatically those are in there. So, and I just push for presets. And as long as the USB is loaded, whatever I touch will automatically, I don't know if you could see these numbers changing. So here's 5 setups. This one has 8. This was just something I was messing around with. And it just very easily goes from one to the other. It's very quick, very fast. And just touch Imagine and boom, it's there, okay? And then I could just leave the USB in there and voila. What I'm going to do is play a couple other songs for you. And I'm going to tell you what I did to get it, and then I have a little, we'll call it a present if you call it that. I'm going to play a song called, let's see here, how about something a little upbeat? Oh, you know, I've done this before. A little In the Mood. All right. So I'm going to go to my playlist here, Jazz. Go to the I for In the Mood. I remember when I started at Fletcher back in '93. I came from a rock and roll blues era. I was playing a lot of band nightclubs, and we did a lot of classic rock and blues. And when I started Fletcher Music, they said, because of our students, you better learn Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller. I know musicians way before your time. And I was like, Glenn who? Is that a real person? And I had to go out and learn all these wonderful songs that I ended up growing to love. And In the Mood was just a good classic. So what I did is I used playlist and jazz category and In the Mood. Here we go. Well, I'm having fun. I hope you are. I'll play one more for you. What I'm going to do is, if you want to email me, that's one way. It's rroman@fletchermusic.com. I'm going to also post it on our Patreon. I'm actually going to put this, a lot of the stuff I do on Patreon, you have to be a member, but I'm going to put this into the free member category. So if you want it, you can get it. This is just a quick little, as I was learning the instrument about a couple months back, what I did is I was doing all the songs, listing all the songs that I usually like to play, and then I was poking around this song set up this style, and it has just a handful. When I say I mean, because you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of setups. And what it has is a group of songs that I generally like to play. I don't know if you could see that there. I don't know how pixelated that is. Actually, I'll do you one better. I'll pull this up on the computer here. And what I'm going to do is make this available. It might be useful, it may not. If you think it'll be helpful, email me or go to our Patreon page. I'll post that actually tonight as just a document. And these were just some of the songs that I've, country songs, Hey Good Looking, Over the Rainbow. And then on the bottom here, these are the styles that I used for those songs. So this tells you the category, the page once you select it, and then the actual name of the style. And then these were just some of my favorites. Again, this was done in an hour's worth of my time. Okay, so these are some of the songs that I usually like to play, and then what playlist, very quickly get to them. Just a quick start cheat sheet guide, if you will. Okay, so, well, okay, what? Where is that?
Where in patreon.com do I go to see that free stuff?
Oh, okay. So if you want to access our Patreon page, there's a couple ways to do it. Our YouTube channel, by the way, I also post these videos on there, is youtube.com/Fletcher Music Centers.
Okay.
Patreon is patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers. And lastly, if for some reason that doesn't get typed right or you don't remember, if you go to our website at fletchermusic.com, okay, so at the very top, see that right there? If you click on that little square with the triangle, that's the YouTube, and that'll automatically open up our YouTube channel. And then if you click on the little P looking thing, that opens up our Patreon. Okay, what I've been doing is posting these on both channels, okay, because we have a lot of people that are already Patreon members, but I'll post that little cheat sheet up there today, okay, or tonight rather. So anyway, I want to say thank you so much. We hope you learned something today. We hope you had some fun. Stay safe. Keep playing music every day. And wow, wow.